Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us here at Whiskey Throttle Media for Riders Meeting, our weekly race review show with myself and Bruce Murata, who's on the line with me. Bruce, thanks for joining me.
Yep. Thanks, Ping.
So, kind of a weird one down in Alabama. And I want to first start by thanking our sponsors, Rock and Turf, Maxxis Tires, and of course, Speed Strap. If you guys aren't familiar with those brands, check them out. Follow them on Instagram. Great companies. We're stoked to have them involved. And man, well, first of all, I think we should apologize because I said this was a covered stadium. I had heard that from somebody. I didn't verify it. I thought it made sense to have an open air stadium down there in Alabama. I just thought it would be crazy. I mean, it's rainy all winter and then hot and muggy all summer. Just seemed like a dome would sure have been a lot smarter. But anyway,
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say this because they got like over an inch. They got a lot of rain on Friday.
Lots of rain.
And I thought it was going to be a swamp. And I'm going to tip my hat to the track crew guys because they made miracles happen. It was still ruddy and soft in places, but man, you'd have never guessed they got as much rain as they did.
Yeah, and that's the thing that stood out for me, Ping, is like the dirt looks so good. It actually looked really good, you know?
Yeah, and I will say the bigger factor rather than the moisture was that the track layout kind of sucked, like for racing.
Mm-hmm.
Those 180, like the S turn section it spread everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
And there was zero passing right there. Like you just
Right.
it,
Yeah.
it filed everyone out and spread them apart. And then man, we just didn't see a lot of passing. So let's jump right into our 250 class first. These guys, I feel like we're starting to maybe get a sense of what's going to happen. And we lost our points leader, obviously, so that changes the complexion a bit. But it's been so close, and no one's really taken a hold of this championship yet. And I feel like that finally changed on Saturday
Mm-hmm.
night. And I'll let you talk a little bit about the heats. I'm actually up here in Big Sky, Montana on vacation, so I didn't even pay attention to the heats. I just checked in and watched the mains. I did see the highlight reel, and I don't know what was going on with Star Racing, Yamaha, and Pro Circuit Kawasaki, but man, I think it was McAdoo that got into shop.
Well, no, what? Yeah. And what happened was
Or
Hammaker.
Romano.
Well, yeah, that was one incident, but the main one was in the first corner with Hammaker and Deegan. Hammaker, he kind of got pushed into the back of Deegan, and then his bike got stuck into Deegan's bike. And Deegan definitely, I feel, let his emotions get the best of him because he was definitely frustrated about that situation. And he had some words with Seth after the race. He stomped over to the PC rig. And as far as Deegan's got, he's still young. He's going to let these emotions get the best of him, as I said. I don't think Seth, as you know, Pink, Seth's a great kid. He's not going to intentionally just try to take someone out like that. It was just a racing accident. So stuff happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, Seth has found himself kind of involved in a couple of these things, but I wouldn't say they were his fault. I mean, he locked bars with someone going into a first turn.
Right.
That happens all the time. And he just got, he got thrown over high-sided. So
yeah.
On the Deegan thing, I've already seen an awful lot of hate about that. And I'm trying to give a little bit of grace because I think maybe 10 or 20 years ago, I'd have blasted somebody for that kind of behavior or whatever. And it's like, they're young, man. They're going to just say things that they're probably going to regret. And I think that it's a little unfair for Hayden because he's growing up and going through all this in the shadow of his dad. So he gets a lot of people that kind of have a preconceived notion about who he is and what he's about. And I think that's going to just evolve over time. Like he's a work in progress, and we'll see what kind of person he turns out to be. Right.
Yep.
I will say that I really thought this was his championship to lose, and he's so far losing it. He's not out of it by any means, but boy, someone better tell Tom Vial that Hayden Deegan wants to fight for it, because right now he's on a roll.
Yeah.
And he would go on to win one of the heats, right?
Yep. So, yeah, and I do want to do a shout out, though, for that first heat. So, for Cody Shock. So, McAdoo and Romano, they got into an incident. Nick had crashed in front of McAdoo. He goes in the back of him. They're both lucky that they walked away from that one. Um, but Cody Schock takes his first heat race win ever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm stoked for the Club MX guys. Those guys work really hard, seem like great people, great program up there. So it's been kind of a career restarter for Cody Schock.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stoked to see him get a win.
Yep.
Let's talk about the main event because there was a lot of stuff that went on. We kind of had said after last week, hey, this could be a soft, ready track. We thought at the very least, just because it's Alabama, it's going to be sticky and ruddy. And we kind of said, hey, is Tom Vial going to go on a run? And this was good for a couple of reasons because Tom won Daytona and that's his first win. Obviously, that's great. It's huge. But he still had to answer that question of, can you win on a real regular Supercross track? And he just got that answer, right? And he didn't just win. Like, he pulled away from Cameron McAdoo and the rest of the crew. So he did it pretty convincingly.
Yes. Yep. And I think, I remember Millsap saying something too. If that kid can get a good start, he's going to be hard to beat. And he hole shotted last night.
Yeah, and I
So,
think that what these 2 wins are going to do for his confidence, I think you're going to see who Tom Vial is over the coming weeks, months, and the rest of this season because he needed to sort of get back to believing in himself again and to win Daytona and then follow it up in Alabama. I think it's going to be huge for him. And he's really taking control of this championship. Unfortunately, our previous points leader, Max Anstey, who, man, that guy needs to start. Just was struggling coming through the back again. Was
and
riding well and looking good, and his bike went tits up. That's pretty much going to take him out of this. I mean, I just don't see there's anyone who would come back from that.
Yeah, especially for how competitive this class is right now, Ping. It's really hard to DNF a race. You just can't afford it, with how this is going. I do want to say one highlight for me, I feel, with the 250 main last night was Swole rode really well.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
he was in
did you see him blast? Who did he blast out of the way?
Hymus. Chance
Hymus.
Hymus.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there
Now,
was some
they said that
revenge
was
there.
retribution. I don't know. I didn't see what happened in the heat, but man, he moved him out of the way.
Yeah. And I got it. But the thing I wanted to talk about Swole, I mean, it was unfortunate. He did go down while he was in third. But one thing that surprises me, Ping, and is that new Triumph. How competitive that bike already is. To be running up front like that. I mean, with it being their first year, and I don't know, to me that just surprises me. I mean, how built are those motors? How much testing they really have as far as the race side of things. So for Swole to be running in the top 3 at one point, I mean, and he looks really good on the bike.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, we had Ezra Lusk at it for our intro video, for those of you who didn't see it. And I mean, he was blown away. By the end of the day, he had that thing working. He said, this chassis is awesome. It corners great. It handles great. His only complaint was that the motor was just a little bit linear, a little soft feeling, which of course is just mapping. And I'm sure that the guy building engines for Triumph's race team is a guy named Dudley, who's been doing them for factory KTM since I rode for him and way before that, actually. This guy's really, really sharp. And so, of course, he's going to have that thing running. I'm sure their race bikes are plenty fast. And it's there. I think they're going to continue to be successful. And their plan is, it's a full commitment to the sport, man. So it's pretty cool.
Well, my hat's off to them. And I feel so far they're doing a really good job.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about second and third. Cameron McAdoo, Seth Amaker. And Seth actually rode really well. I was stoked for him. Not only was the second podium in a row for both of those guys, but Seth actually closed in on Cameron and was, looking to try to make a fight out of it. Both those guys look solid. They look comfortable. They look good on the bike. Just, man, right now, Tom's got their number a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know what else to say about it. I didn't. And another thing I didn't like about that track last night, let me just say this. How do you not put whoops on a Supercross track? Like,
crazy.
That's like ordering
Absolutely
a burger
crazy.
with no patty,
Yeah.
Some kind of tofu joke, some horse shit like that.
Yeah, and like
Um,
you said it earlier, I feel like that track was really hard to pass on.
well,
You know.
when something's that rutted through the rhythms and stuff, it's really hard to race, right? You're just trying to
Mm-hmm.
survive, and then you get to that other side of the stadium, and it was just like one-lined S turns. I mean, there's just nothing you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
take us through 4 through 10, Bruce.
So we got Brown finished a solid fourth, which that's still keeping him in some good points. He's going to be third in points now. He's not too far out of the championship. Jeremy Martin with the fifth, Jalik Swoll sixth, Bennick seventh, Cody Schock eighth, Deegan ninth, and Chance Hymas 10th. Now, it did change because Deegan did get penalized 2 positions for cutting that double in the beginning of the race when he got pushed off the track there. He cut around that double and it actually gained some positions. So later on, they actually docked him 2 positions.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. If you
Mm-hmm.
watch that, he there was places he could have come back on, and he
Right.
just like, I don't know. It was pretty obvious advantage. So
It,
I can't argue with that ruling.
yeah. And I mean, going back to, he's still a young kid. I don't really consider him really a rookie because of the experience he has and everything so far. But, I just feel like as time goes on, he's going to learn these things more and more and get better at it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And listen, you
So,
get on a track like that, right? He had that get together with Hammaker in his heat, not his fault at all, but it sent him to the LCQ. He gets second to Hammaker in the LCQ, puts him on a terrible gate pick. Okay. So you get a
mm-hmm.
crappy start because you have a terrible gate pick on a track that's really tough to pass on.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is what, when you hear these guys, put myself in a good position from the start of the day, that's what they're talking about. It starts in qualifying. You get a good
Yeah.
qualifying time that gives you a good pick on your gate for the heat race, which gets you a good start in the heat, which is a good finish, which is a good pick for the main. Like it just snowballs, and
Right.
it snowballs one direction or the other. And for Hayden, it was snowballing in a bad direction from at least from the first heat race.
Yep. Yeah. So,
What about Pierce Brown? Just quickly, I don't want to spend too much
yeah.
time here in the 250 class, but man, he's had this really quiet run so far where he's been just off the podium, but riding really well. He's got the speed. Man, if I was him, I'd be doing starts all week. It would just be
Mm-hmm.
starts.
Well, the thing that I'm stoked for Pierce though, he's very consistent right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what we've seen even in the 450 class, this being consistent like that, this could put him in a really good position. So, he's only, what is it? He's only like 5 points from the championship, from Tom Vial. So I feel like he's putting himself in pretty good spots as far as being consistent. But like you said, Ping, I think that's great advice for him. Get these starts. He needs to start up front if he wants to win one of these races. He's got to get a whole shot and start up front. He's putting himself in. He's just making it really hard on himself. He is.
Yeah, and
So.
it's a lot like what we're seeing in the 450 classes, that Tom Vial is on it, and you let him
Mm-hmm.
get reel off one more win, and now all of a sudden the championship starts to become out
Yes.
of reach. Now you're
Yeah.
15 points out, and it starts to get like panic mode at this point in the season. And by the time you hit
Right.
20 points out, you're done. I mean, you're just done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it'll be interesting to watch. Like I said, we did drop out our red plate holder, Max Stancy. Unfortunate DNF for those guys. And the championship really starts to break down now. If you look at the points, it's Pierce, McAdoo, and Vial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take us through
Yep.
how those points look.
Yeah. So we got Tom Vial. He's the new points leader. He's 74 points, and then just 1 point down is Cameron McAdoo, and then Pierce Brown, 4 down from Cameron at 69. So he's still in that championship hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Deegan 62, tied with Cody Schock, 4th and 5th. Seth Hammaker is 6 in points. Daxon Bennick 7th. Max Yancey now in 8th. Unfortunate for him. You got Henry Miller in 9th, and then Jalik Swoll wrapping up your 10th spot.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go ahead and move on to our 450 class. This is our Speed Strap 450 review. And man, again, I'll say this: the championship is starting to take shape. And as much as I wanted Eli Tomac to be a factor in this thing and really get in the mix, it's looking less and less likely as Jett Lawrence continues to reel off wins, and Eli has nights like he did last night where he just can't push through the pack.
Right. I mean, he put himself in a good spot though in the heat race starting up front, and that goes back to getting those good starts. I mean, he won the heat race. I know it's a heat race, but I mean, he looked really good in his heat race. Same with Sexton. Sexton won his heat race. I understand though it comes down to the main event. And this is where, Jett's been putting himself in good spots starting up front.
Yeah, he had this, he's been really solid off the starts all year. And I'll tell you, I was kind of wondering who was going to be the guy to give him chase. Was it going to be Sexton? Was it going to be Cooper Webb? And at the end of the day, I mean, Cooper rode awesome, but I had to wonder, like, how hard was Jett pushing?
Well, that is a big note that I have right there, Ping, because it's like the way it looked is, and I obviously I can't like really speak for Jett, but it looked like he just put himself in a spot where he's just comfortable and he just managed that race very well, and I feel like I there's something that's kind of telling me like if he wanted to, he could have kept checking out more and more, but I mean, why when he could just manage it right there? So,
well, I think they've learned a couple of hard lessons with him having these falls in the middle of a race while out front with a gap. And I'm sure that whether it's Johnny O or whether it's his dad or whoever, they're going, listen, dude, just keep your head screwed on. Once you have a little cushion, stay focused on the race. You don't need to win by 15 seconds and just finish the damn job, And so it seems like that's what he's been doing, and I wonder that if Cooper really just turned it on, if Jett had another second or two a lap, he could have dropped. I don't know. He didn't need to show us, but I feel like he's still got more under the hood where all these other guys are at full throttle. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. I see that.
Yeah. So take me through, how did you think Cooper, I mean, obviously from Jett, pretty damn close to flawless race. I saw a couple little mistakes they flashed back to on there, but
yeah, like there's that one time where Cooper, they're like, oh, he's actually kind of reeling him in just a little bit, half a second. But then that's where Jett, that's kind of where I saw Jett's just managing this race. He knows he's in a good spot. He didn't allow Cooper to get too close to him. But there were some good battles in the main, like Justin Cooper. I feel like he put on some good battles with like Chase Sexton. They were, Justin looked really good. And another guy too, they kind of showed towards the end of the race, Anderson. He was really working his way through that pack. He
was charging.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought the two most impressive rides of the night in terms of just guys that surprised me were Justin Cooper. He held off a really hard push from Chase and then held Kenny off for a little while and still, didn't get dropped by him once he passed him. And then also Jason Anderson, who at the end of the race was flying. So,
yeah. But, Ping, the biggest highlight of the whole night, our poor 30-second girl.
Oh, yeah, man. That was something else, huh? What did you think of that?
So as soon as I saw it happen, like for me, I thought for sure they would have red flagged that race. Because I mean, that definitely kind of, that threw Cooper Webb off. I don't know. Is that, obviously we've never seen anything like this happen before.
No, I think if it had screwed Cooper up to where he fell or they would have positions. Okay. I mean, I'm sure that there was discussion with Pelletier and everyone else on the AMA, like, hey, what do we do? Because I've never seen that happen.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that chick got really lucky because she was a couple feet one way or the other.
Yep.
She would have gotten plowed to the mat and just run over. She got
Yep.
pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, I
It's
did
funny.
hear.
Somebody posted that the last Monster Energy girl post that went up was about how they have to pay attention to all their surroundings and all this stuff. And, anyway,
Well,
poetic
I've
justice.
yeah, and I've talked to some people that she's okay and
Yeah,
she's handling it like a champ, so it's all good.
yeah.
So
Well, insert your
yeah.
joke here. There was a lot of good memes going around.
Yeah. Yep. So
Speaking of which, we were the center square on the Moto Memes bingo card this weekend. So we'll be pulling the best comment from those memes this week and shooting out a gift package to the lucky winner. So we'll be updating you guys on who that is. So let's talk a little bit about Cooper Webb. Where are you seeing him? I feel like he's been the
well,
second best guy so far all season.
yep.
And I don't want to write him. I don't want to count him out. You never can. He's going to push Jett right to the very end. But as I look at the points now, it's like, oh, okay. Eli's probably too far. Eli's too far back. Chase is now on the bubble. It's like every weekend, Jett just keeps pushing another guy out of this title fight.
Yeah, and I
And
think and I feel like Jet's gonna lose his own races. So the weekends that he doesn't show up, I'm leaning more towards Cooper Webb's going to be the one that capitalizes on that.
yeah, it sure seemed
So
that way. Yeah.
and for and I've heard some people, they've wrote to me in comments that I'm really typing up Tomac but man, it just would be so cool to see. I mean, it's most likely maybe his last season, so of course I wanted to cheer for him to be on top and win races, but it's these guys are starting to get away, Ping.
Yeah.
So
I think that 250 class is not quite as clear cut. I think those guys are on notice that they better slow Tom Vial down. The writing has been on the wall in this class, and it's kind of been the rain helped keep it close, and a couple of crashes on Jett's part, but this writing's been on the wall for a while. Jett's just outclassing these guys, and you know, I don't know, man. I would just say
yeah,
prepare for more of this, for more of
yeah,
the same. And for the people that hate Jett, I get it. Everybody, no one wants to see one guy just win everything.
hmm
But man, I'll say this: his time will come and go, just like everyone else's.
right.
Just appreciate what you're watching. I'm not like some super fan. I think my daughters are, but and my wife Amber just
Yeah,
put her hand up too.
yeah. I think
Bitch.
every girl is. You saw him with his
But
shirt off at Daytona.
yeah, but I'll tell you this, dude. Like, if you just, it was like watching McGrath in his prime, watching Carmichael in his prime, watching Bubba when he was on. Man, just appreciate what you're watching because we're seeing a guy ride a motorcycle at a level that I don't know, man. I don't know. You never know when the next guy comes along who will
Right.
raise the bar. And Jett's raising the bar.
Yes.
He's beautiful to watch. Like just
hmm Oh, his
uh,
form, everything he does it's almost near perfect. And
well,
he
it's
just
just so
makes
effortless, right? Like he
yeah,
can make a mistake look good. And
yeah.
that's
The
just
bike
enjoy
always
what you're
looks
seeing.
yeah, bike always looks super light everywhere. I mean, it's just man, it's beautiful to watch. So
Well, let's work our way down here. Kenny Roxon got third. He actually was one of the few guys able to make some moves, make some passes, and push forward. Um, Managed to not thank himself on the podium, which is terrific. He was actually humble and courteous, so that was great. Solid ride for him, and stoked for those guys on that program, the HEP guys, Twisted Development, all those boys. They work really hard, and I like to see that pay off for them. Fourth place. Let's take us through the rest of these results here.
yeah, so we got fourth with Sexton, Justin Cooper fifth, Jason Anderson sixth, Eli Tomac seventh, Aaron Plessinger eighth, Justin Barsha ninth, and Malcolm Stewart wrapping up your top 10.
That's a solid top 10. Like, if you're fifth through 10th, like, you're probably not happy, but the guys you're racing with are legit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a different era. I will say, like we said, really stoked with Justin Cooper and his progression and how he's doing. How do you think Chase Sexton's feeling right now? I watched him almost crash 3 or 4 times, and it was a lot of the same looks of what he had on his Honda. Did you notice that? Like his front end kept pushing
Yeah,
out
the
from under
front
him. I was
end.
like, whoa, that was close.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I haven't really seen that all year. And now I'm seeing it again. And I'm kind of going, huh, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. I mean, Ping, I mean, the guy's an incredible racer and rider. So I just for me, it actually surprises me that for someone as good as he is and with the people in his corner that he's still kind of having those kind of issues. So um yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to kind of I don't know if he's kind of still having some issues with his hand. But
Mm-hmm.
I if I were to bet on this in the beginning of the season, I definitely would have thought Chase would be battling some wins with Jett for sure.
Yeah, he seems to be a
So
tick off, and whether that's bike or yeah, I'm curious how much his hand is bugging him.
mhm.
He's playing that really close to his chest, and which is
Yep.
understandable. But
Yeah.
is he uncomfortable on the bike, or is that hand an issue, or is it a little of both? Was it just getting slick, or is he setting his bikes up in a way that isn't good? Right? Like I know he
Right.
really leans forward. He leads the bike a lot with his head and really relies on that front end to be planted, but you can only ask so much out of it, right? And I don't care
Right.
what color your front fender is, at a point that front end's going to give out. So
Hmm.
it'll be something interesting to watch here as we keep moving along. Like we said, great ride from Jason Anderson. It was good to see him up there. I think everybody was bummed with Eli Tomac's finish. Not that he rode
Yep.
poorly, but you just can't start back there like he did and try to come through this field. It's just too hard.
Yep. Absolutely.
And a good
So
top 10 for Malcolm. I keep hoping he's going to get on a roll and get something going, but at least a solid finish for him anyway.
yep. And
So how
Ping
are the,
us.
yeah,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, take us through where the points are at now.
Okay, so we got Jett Lawrence is leading. He's got 185 with Cooper Webb in second at 172 points. So, man, these points are getting. I mean, he's starting to really walk away from these guys. Pink. Chase Sexton in third, Eli Tomac fourth, Ken Roxon fifth, Jason Anderson sixth, Aaron Plessinger seven. Um, and I know Aaron Plessinger, however you want to say it. I've known him for a while. I always just say Plessinger. Eighth is Justin Cooper, Dylan Ferrandez. Eighth. Or I mean, I'm sorry, ninth, and then 10th will be Justin Barsha.
Okay, and what are our points? So we're 13 behind with Cooper. Where are Sexton and Tomac sitting on points? How far
Okay,
back?
so
I thought Tomac was 20.
Tomac is, let's see here. So we got, I want to say he's 26 points behind Ping. Yeah, he's 26 points behind. And
Yeah, that's too
then
much.
yeah, and then let's see here for Sexton. Let's see here. Sexton's gonna be, oh man, let's see here. He's gonna be at the 165. So he's gonna be
Inside of
so
20,
he's
but
so
he's
20.
ways
He's
back.
around 20 points. Yeah, man,
Okay.
that's just it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it's getting far. Hey, we're going to keep an eye on this. I appreciate all our sponsors, Rock and Turf, Maxxis Tires, and Speed Strap. Check those guys out. Bruce, thanks. We're
Yep.
going to be back with Sight Lap, having a look at next weekend. Join us there. We'll see you guys.